smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back with you right here on CFT Live. I have Lisi hot and bothered at the idea of a Donovan Edwards screen pass.
I'll buy a jersey if it.
Kevin Walsh, Ben Stevens, Joe Lisi. 7.5-point line in favor of the Wolverines with the football. -128 juice, though, on that +7.5 for UW. 53.5 over-under. -130, though, juice, pushing towards the over in this game. How about this opening play of this drive? Donovan Edwards, again, a positive run on a run that didn't look like it would be positive. -230 for Michigan to run the ball on that first play there. But Lisi, and I don't mind a different look there, that was double running back set.
Mullings.
Neither one of them were play
I know, the Mullings and Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
Let's get Donovan Edwards out in the passing attack, one-on-one with a linebacker. Let him shake and move. Let him move.
Again, there's that twinkle in your eye.
It is.
Talking about Donovan Edwards.
I feel good about it. I think we're going to get like a 3rd and 4. And they're going to mismatch him.
All of a sudden, he's the
all
lead
of a sudden
running back.
he's lead running back.
I mean,
RB1.
Averaging 24.3 yards.
Go with the hot hand.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably keep feeding him the ball.
Here we go. We're running the football.
He hits another one. I mean, he hit the whole
coming
hard.
up. Listen, Washington is playing this game correctly. You are selling out to stop the run, and you're making J.J. McCarthy beat you, who at this moment certainly has not. So now it's going to be a 3rd and short. You would expect Michigan, who has run it on the first 2 plays of this 8th offensive drive for them in this football game, to continue to do the same. Why stop? Why stop when you're getting at least 3, 4, 5 yards per pop against this Washington defense?
They're 0 for 5 on 3rd downs. They've not been in 3rd and long all that much. Yeah. If they stop you on a 3rd and 2 run, congrats. Hat tip. Maybe go for it.
Donovan now over 100.
Hat tip.
But stuff on 3rd down.
Yes, they were.
No confidence in McCarthy because that play should have been.
Why is he not keeping that football?
I don't know.
Radio audiences here. We'd love to have you across the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM, Channel 159. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi, Ben Stevens. And here's the thing. I don't have the J.J. McCarthy prop, so this is not me even remotely attempting to root that in.
Yeah.
Why will they not run one run-pass option where McCarthy keeps it and hits the edge?
They're selling out right now. Washington is selling out to stop a running back run, and why not? By the way, just to update the live line, we are now under a field goal, 6.5 in favor of the Wolverines, -310 money line. But if you want the Washington Huskies to win this national championship game outright, it's +230. Live over under Kev, 53.5.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting now.
Feels like they can obviously score here.
What is the in-game total on the money line right now? What was it?
+230.
So that's
Washington,
down from 5 to 1.
-310, Michigan.
I
have it at +630.
Oh, you did take it?
Yeah, I did take it.
Good. Quick update on the NBA Heat with a big win, 120 to 113.
Sizzle play.
Sizzle play.
Sizzle play. Guys red hot. Hot as a pistol. Many are saying.
What makes you prouder or happier perhaps tonight, the Donovan Edwards, all or the fact that Miami covered as a 4-point favorite?
Actually, right at this moment, just to stir the pot, the Miami Heat. I could be a hot up and coming, NBA guy.
I'll tell you what you almost said at the break, and I know what you just almost said. That's the best. So, Washington football here.
Yeah.
That last drive, they ultimately did have to settle for a field goal. Mm-hmm. This game has been played in a really interesting way. Michigan was so dominant so early that we are kind of treating Washington like they don't belong in this game. And what I mean by that is, down 7 at the half, Washington has to feel great. Trailing by 7, Washington has to feel amazing. And that is because there was a moment where this thing looked over. Live spread was 17.5
Think of it,
at one point in this game.
I equate the game today the way like a college basketball game or a title fight, right? You have to weather the 20-0 runs, and they actually did that early on. Now, again, I think the Michigan play calling allowed them back in this game. They made plays, but if Michigan took that approach that we just saw, right, run on 1st down, run on 2nd down, run on 3rd down in the 2nd quarter when they had positive field position, are we still here at 20 to 13 right now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think
agree.
we're 27, maybe 10, 27-6 at that point.
Yeah.
They had an opportunity to step on Washington, and they did not do it.
A couple of times there in that 2nd quarter.
It's like Harbaugh had to get McCarthy involved. It's like he had to.
Yeah.
So I saw a take, by the way.
Can I just ask you something quick?
Please, yeah.
Do you have the overtime price? Does that exist?
Yeah, they
Find it.
pre-kick it did.
I'll give you, just as I look for this, those live quarterback passing yards props. As Michael Penix Jr. in Washington about to come back on the field, he has a $154 at this moment, 277 and a hook, 142 and a half is the live number on J.J. McCarthy. He has 85 passing yards. I'm looking for a live overtime. I don't really see it.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know if they have it in this football game.
I'm going to see
at the moment.
You were going to make a hardball point. What was that going to be?
Well, I just saw a take that as we looked at the opening half, with how much success Michigan had, averaging nearly 13 yards per carry in that first half, and yet still incorporating J.J. McCarthy in interesting spots for that Wolverines offense to begin. It almost felt like Michigan was making a point to prove something around J.J. McCarthy and his ability at the quarterback spot instead of just pounding Washington into the turf with a successful ground attack that they started the football game with. And Washington is sold out to stop the run. Rightfully so, a great adjustment defensively for the Huskies. They've made J.J. McCarthy be the guy to beat them, and up until this point, it has not happened yet for the Maize and Blue. Washington now has the football under 7 minutes remaining in that third quarter.
He's coming out slinging. There it is.
Westover.
Is he through his number? He was at like
man at this moment. It almost feels. Yeah, I don't see a live overtime prop. Maybe I have to go book shopping.
Westover at 25 right now. His total was 29.
That was.
He's got a ton right now.
He's got. I don't know if that was before or not, Joe, because I see 3 grabs for 25 yards on Jack Westover. And now
so
it's 4 grabs for 30 yards.
There it is.
Westover.
So he's over his number.
Yeah.
That's
Another hit for Joe Lisi.
As someone, though, again, who what we're seeing from the Washington offense is not surprising. There's been one deep opportunity, and since Penix wasn't perfect,
he's got space.
Go, Jalen. Good job, Jalen.
Wide receiver screens. Are there and available.
They're setting things up right now. And again, you have to think they're taking what the defense is allowing.
Yeah.
They're staying underneath with their passing attack. Ryan Grubb, the offensive coordinator, calling a pretty good game so far for UW. At a certain point, as you bait them down to leave the high safeties, you would expect a shot for Washington at some point here in the second half.
And in this type of scenario, this is where it favors Penix because he's been in this situation multiple times, right? If this game gets tied, how tight does McCarthy get?
Very much.
The only thing I would say in
what happened there?
They were running a gorgeous little screenplay from McMillan that he could have housed. And I'm going to base that on nothing other than the ball was going to him.
Yeah.
I have no idea if he could have housed it.
He got tripped up in the backfield with a Michigan defensive player, and the play was.
He would have had one man to beat if 73 could have got out there.
Honestly,
as well.
A great play right there by.
That's a bad job by 73. Stay connected to your man. I want to say this, though, quickly, because while I understand, listen, ball game's tied. Which quarterback do you want, Joe? Michigan last week trailed by 7 to Alabama, tied that game, and then won it in overtime. So the Wolverines have been in this spot before. I do think they deserve some credit for that. We're breaking down a Washington offensive drive when we come back. Incomplete pass. Whoa.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is
Michael Penix Jr. over 309 and a half.
Let's shop around. Let's get active, and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe if Michigan in this ballgame can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ballgame.
National championship is set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back with you here on CFT Live, Michigan, Washington. Take me through, and take the people through, I said me. Take the people through, take me through, the end of that Washington drive there.
Washington was nearing Michigan territory, nearing midfield. A 3rd and 10 became a 3rd and 15 after the third false start penalty on this Washington O-line. Michael Penix Jr., a couple of deep shots. Jalen Polk first, and then Roma Dunze, neither of them complete. Washington punts it back to Michigan, but a good bounce. Fortunate for the Huskies, the ball was down inside Michigan's 10-yard line. They will have a long way to go if they're going to put up points here to end out the third quarter.
Yeah, it's incredible in regards to positive field position. And they had shots, right? They took some deep balls. They didn't, but they got a good punt. Let's see now what Michigan does. Do they go to the rushing attack again of Edwards and Corum, or do they now put the ball into J.J. McCarthy's hands inside the 20? Because another 3 and out. Right? All of a sudden, field position flips. Now you start looking potential 2020. Again, another opportunity. If you want to take Michigan, now's the shot.
6.5 is minus 156.
What about the money line?
For Michigan?
Yeah.
You have it right there?
I'm going to pull it up right now.
Because the Michigan money line is going to be you saying Washington money line?
Michigan. I'm just curious what they have.
Michigan money line is minus 400 at the moment. 5:11 remaining here in the third quarter.
So,
still a 6.5-point spread, but if you want to back Michigan covering, it's minus 156 in terms of the juice you would have to pay. Plus 6.5 for the Huskies is plus 120, plus 285 money line. Kev, the over/under all the way down to 50.5, and the under has the juice at minus 130.
Here's what I would look at. If I want to play Michigan right now, you alt it. Minus 8.5 or minus 9.5. 8.5 is plus 146. 9.5 is plus 150. Reason why I say that is because if they do score even a field goal, right, you're still now playing with the lead.
Yep.
Right? You still have that possession where you could still lay the 8.5 and 9.5 at plus money. This is key right now.
Washington is selling out to stop the run, and for the first time, driving into the Michigan backfield.
I know you don't, but
No,
it's there.
No, I actually think you right now are not being greedy enough. They need to do a very simple screen pass to the wide receiver.
Or Donovan Edwards coming out of the back.
I meant running back, actually, and I said wide receiver.
Or Cornelius Johnson.
I mean, listen, whether it's – and honestly, and I know you want it to be Donovan, They should really do the running back screen to Blake.
Because
they don't expect
but
it
do
to
on
be
first
Blake.
down.
I agree totally.
Who's in there? Is that Blake or is that it's Blake?
It's Corum.
See, but now he's panicking right now, Harbaugh. This is a total panic mode. Because he knows
this is exactly what we saw against Alabama, man. I cannot believe we are not watching Milrow on a Monday. Now it's setting in. Now it's setting in. Imagine how much you'd be on Washington if they were playing Milrow right now. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that total would be 75.
Well, with these two quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Oh, they would have let it fly. No, because Milrow would have hit deep shots on this team. And he would have been running explosive. 0 for 6 on third down, the Michigan Wolverines in this football game.
What do you do here? I would run it.
No, I'm not running.
Give it to Donovan on the screen. I don't care.
Agree.
Give it to Donovan.
6 of 13.
He's open. He's open. Oh, come on.
Happy feet. He's going to take off. He's going to pick up the first down.
Oh, and a lot more. And a lot more.
Oh.
Wow. There you go.
That was a rough 20-ish yard run.
Yeah.
But I think he might have still been at negative yardage.
No.
That
He was
play.
at -4.
Negative 4
And
yards,
his
yeah.
in-game total was 11.5.
Well, you're through that number. But you're not through a pregame prop. I did see as low as 22.5. I know there were 25.5s out there. We've been looking for him to run in this game. Now, that was on a design pass play that he was running. Again, the heartbreaking thing, Joe, is he was waiting for Donovan to get off of his block so he could throw a check down, and it no longer was there for him.
Who is
and
that?
then he keeps it, J.J. McCarthy.
Now we see the RPO game.
100%. And look, we've been calling for
Should have
this.
saw that, though, inside the red zone when they had an opportunity.
I mean,
What
he
was
would've
his
walked
price,
in.
5 to 1?
Pre-game, I saw 340 on fan.
340.
Could have been better elsewhere, but I mean,
But this
is what we've been asking for.
This is why you lay the 8.5.
Right.
Right? Because you're hoping that once they get to positive position.
Is it 7.5 now? Because I'll tell you this. I don't hate getting Washington plus 7.5.
It is 7.5 minus 122 if you want to back the Huskies.
I'll tell you
at plus 7.5.
Because if they score a touchdown,
now you're playing on the 7s.
But you're playing on, but you're fine, right? Because the Washington's touchdown or bust. A field goal is actually where you get in the danger zone a little bit because they don't need the touchdown.
Get up the field. Look at this guy.
Patience he's had behind the line of
scrimmage.
He's
been
Just
incredible.
pay me out on the 80. I mean, the guy's over 100. Pay me out on the 80 already. Stop.
Honestly,
money.
big picture, I think there's a world where Donovan Edwards has made himself money today in an NFL draft conversation.
And you know what is also fascinating about that third down conversion for J.J. McCarthy? We're taking close to 2 minutes left here in this third quarter.
Good for you.
Prolongs the drive, keeps things working down. Live over under to have
want the touchdown.
49.5 even juice on both sides. But we're down now by pretty much a full touchdown from where we were pregame.
Yeah, and this drive here is
what happened?
Danger.
I thought that was
his helmet off, but that had danger all over it.
You know, this is actually going to really start to drive me insane as someone who bet J.J. McCarthy props against Penn State and as somebody that was wishing they were watching Alabama play, is they refused to do this stupidness against Alabama of throwing the football when they didn't need to, and they certainly didn't do it, we talked about, against Penn State. Run. Bubble screen to a wide receiver. It's
not even your best wide receiver.
No, it's certainly
Mars
not.
Morgan, the freshman who's kind of been a little bit inconsistent and shaky here in the college football playoff for Michigan.
Who was that, Edwards? Edwards getting a lot of burn.
He absolutely is getting a lot of burn.
He's getting more burn than Corum in this game. A lot more. He's open.
Oh, man.
Another screen pass
There's
here
Roman Wilson.
for the Michigan Wolverines,
So now
but
you got
doesn't pick
30.
up a first down, and I promise you this, that's a punt. And that, by the way, plus 7.5 came available.
Maybe I missed
Where is
something.
it now? You
I
might
thought the bubble screen was a first down.
No. They ran to
Oh,
Donovan.
yeah.
It's behind. He was delayed for
the
a second,
pitch.
picked up about 2 to 3. They
So that
lost,
was the first
whatever
down
it was.
play, then the bubble screen,
Yeah.
then third and long.
And now
Got it.
6.5, Kev, plus 108 if you want to back the Huskies. Michigan again covering that live number, 6.5 in favor of the Maize and Blue at minus 140. That total now down by nearly double digits, 46.5. If you want to take that live over, it's minus 168. So let's start to do
Big
a little bit of
punt.
math. What a great Big Ten punt. Bad backspin on it, but still a pretty good punt. That will be down at Washington's 11-yard line. Now let's start to do a little bit of live math. We have 33 points scored in this game. Live over-under is 46.5. There's a minute and 21 seconds left, and that under a minute left here in this third quarter. We need 2 touchdowns to get over that live total. Heavily juiced to the over, minus 168. Not sure it is worth it, but you need 2 touchdowns.
Well,
and you need 2 touchdowns as well.
Yeah, and that actually, look, I'd gladly take them as long as they come in. I would actually say The tempting thing with that is Washington is a touchdown or bust team at this moment. Now, they can settle for a field goal, but if it's close, you're going to be aggressive, okay?
Do they go for 2 if they score?
No. Not now. Not now. Later on in this game, we might have that conversation, Joe, but if they score with 7+ minutes remaining in this game, I would be surprised.
Oh, it was wide open.
Michael Penix Jr., that's Jalen Polk, too.
They're getting a little greedy all of a sudden, the Washington Huskies. They did a very nice job being conservative. I think they are.
Listen, he's open. This is a lot of green grass, a lot of open space around him. You got to put that on him.
That's fair.
That's just where that is.
That's fair.
Not a good throw.
It's not like you're right. It's not a 50-yard pass down the field. I guess it's just, and I know you can't run it every play, but like the screen passes have worked so well in this game, and that is not usually the case, by the way.
But at a certain point, Ryan Grubb in Washington is going to start to try to get the football down the field. Jack Westover making play after play.
That was
takes
huge.
a big pop there. Will they get one more play off here before the third quarter?
What was his receptions in the game? He's got
he's
7.
Over it. I'll tell you that.
7.
He's over it. He's got 5 or 6. This is obviously such an important drive here, the opportunity to tie this game. But you can kick a field goal if you're Washington. It has to be close, in my opinion, at least.
Honestly, where we are, I know you could. If there's less than 7 minutes left, no field goal. It's offense or bust.
I think they are in a position now where anything that's 4th and 4 or shorter, they'll be going.
You gotta.
But
I think.
I tend to agree. The third quarter comes to a close, and it's only 3 points for each team.
Great game, by the way, guys. Close. And
we'll be right back. Fourth quarter coverage continues here on SportsGrid.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. We're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix Jr. over 309.5.
Let's shop around. Let's get active, and let's get the best of the numbers here. So
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ball game.
National championship is set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
we spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you here at CFT Live. Washington has the football as we are under the fourth quarter now between their game against the Michigan Wolverines. 20-13, Michigan is up here in this game for a 2nd and 7. Jalen McMillan with a catch. Unfortunately for me, as someone on his over, he's not been able to make a man miss today. There's been a couple of chances in space, but he's not been able to get loose and turn it upfield.
What does he have, about 45 yards right
now? No, that's going to take him over 30.
Yeah, I think he's under 30 at the moment.
And
that took him over 30.
You need 80?
No, 90's the greedy need. I need 60 for the win.
So he could get that.
Oh, he absolutely can. He absolutely can get that. 3rd and 4 here.
Huge. As big of a down as Washington has had so far in this football game.
This is the biggest
keep
one.
the sticks moving.
Got to keep this. You got the momentum right now. There it is.
Oh, good read, Michael.
Oh, he
and
dropped it.
Punt, right?
Yeah.
Punt.
Will Nixon. That's the 3rd string running back for Washington. Obviously, Dylan Johnson a little bit injured in this football game. Tybo Rogers hasn't really done much. Will Nixon.
He hasn't.
On a really good read.
It's right there.
I've been wrong on that handicap.
Right there.
Looked upfield before the ball was in his possession.
It's right there.
That's crushing. And by the way, that moves the line back to 7.5 live now in favor of Michigan. If you want the Huskies covering that live number, it's minus 182 to back Washington. They just moved it down to 6.5, but now it's minus 190. If you want the Wolverines covering that live spread, less than a
great
touchdown.
punt.
Another really good punt. But why are we just letting that ball bounce?
No coverage, team.
Nearly 10 yards, I guess, but
they didn't even go after. They didn't even go after it.
Yeah. So here we are again, by the way, with a couple of those first plays from scrimmage in those live numbers. Minus 230 for Michigan, 1+ rush yard.
Is there a result of drive prop?
Yes.
I actually think Michigan will be scoring on this.
All right, so ready? 10th drive.
Yep.
McCarthy to record a 30-yard completed pass, 16-1.
Oh, wow. All right, I'm listening.
Johnson to record a 20 reception, 18-1. McCarthy to throw a touchdown on this drive, 7-1. Corum to have a 10-yard rush, 2-1.
That's really nice.
Roman Wilson to score a rushing or a receiving tutty, 23-1. They got some really juicy odds here.
I mean, are we thinking double-digit rush yards?
Donovan Edwards to have a 10-yard rush, plus 420.
I like the Corum.
I like the Corum one a lot.
I like the Donovan.
I think they're going back to Corum. They haven't been able to get Corum free.
Yeah.
Well, then how about this? How about this? If you talk about Corum and you think Michigan's going to score, plus 340, rushing or receiving touchdown for Corum.
On the drive?
Yep. If you have confidence.
J.J. McCarthy to throw a passing touchdown as the result of this drive is plus 700.
I don't hate that either, actually. I think they can score on this.
Could it be the Cornelius Johnson?
They don't have a prop on them to score a touchdown to end this drive?
No. It's
Blake Corum to score a rushing or receiving touchdown. Donovan Edwards to score a rushing touchdown. Plus 340 for Corum to find Pater, who has not scored, by the way, in this football game just yet. Donovan Edwards at 7-1. I feel like we should all get invested here, just to have a little bit of something to root home.
He doesn't want to bet what we want to bet.
Yeah, that's fine.
No, I don't want to get in on Corum because it looks like value because he's done it in every game. And
no, not the touchdown. I want to take the 10-yard run.
10-yard plus run at 2-1.
Why do we?
14 carries for Blake Corum tonight.
Part of me wants to take both of them.
I know you do.
Do we like or?
You want to take plus the 4?
We want to take Corum over 131.5. He's at 103 right now, so we would need 29 yards to get there. If we like a 10-yard run on this drive anyway, we're going to be cutting into that by quite a bit.
And Michigan, of course.
If they have the lead, they're going to run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my only thing is a little 2-1.
Here you go. You want the?
I think they're going to run it.
Here's the play. You ready? Rush for no yards or negative yards or a sack plus 550.
Yeah. That's the first play of this drive.
Took it.
What'd you take?
Corum over 131.5 live.
Join you. We've been pretty good live together.
All right, I'll root it in.
This, for me, is a
Donovan Edwards
situation.
over 114.5.
I'm not touching it. Here's what I need. A Donovan Edwards,
go with you.
25-plus reception.
How much could you get paid out on greedy quorum numbers? Nah, I don't need to be that greedy.
What's he doing? Is he meditating?
He does meditation before games.
Yeah, they're hot on this meditation thing ever since they showed it at the Rose Bowl. They like showing everybody now.
All right. I'm getting a little greedy just because I want to.
You took the 10-plus thing as well?
Yeah.
Well, look,
60% unit play on that one.
I won't
so
be
what do
angry
we
if
have
it comes
here?
in. So
First
that's
and
fine.
10 on the what? 17?
Yeah, it's
Boom,
deep inside their own
boom,
territory. Yeah,
boom.
certainly inside their 20-yard line. I don't know exactly where that ball went out of bounds at the end of the punt, but let's take a look.
All right, so we're in with the
All right, here
quorum.
we go.
We
Who's
are.
in the backfield? Quorum?
That's a good question.
Can't see.
It was Blake.
It was
on the play
Quorum.
fake.
I like that play call.
Oh,
catch
he
the
dropped
ball.
it, Johnson.
Couple of
Come on.
drops here.
Johnson,
I
you
actually-
got to catch that.
I actually did not mind that play call one bit, despite my quorum
No, the
bet.
play call
They were
was
set,
aggressive.
they are selling out so much.
Come on. Put in Edwards.
Yeah.
Edwards for a screen. 45
It's a great
yards.
throw.
Gotta
It
catch-
hits him
you
right in the
got-
chest.
You got to catch that ball.
I couldn't agree more.
I mean,
Now,
That's on the money.
so now I'll go hand up.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would call here. If
I
I'm
would
Michigan.
call a screen.
Well, that's been true all day, right? I mean, they haven't.
So Blake's alongside him here.
They're playing zone.
I think they're going to throw the football, if I'm being honest. Oh, and they're going to run to Blake. Blake, get 10. Why don't you? Not a bad run.
3rd and
5 yard
5.
Not a bad run. Not a bad run.
Here we go.
So,
3rd
hey,
and 5.
6.5, still that live number. Minus 130
How
in
about
favor of Michigan. Plus 285, live money line price on the Huskies. Again, that live total, we are down now by at least a full 10 points, pretty much 46.5 is that live over-under.
This
still hanging it at touchdown?
This is big
touchdown?
here.
Yeah.
They're big 3rd down. What do you do? I would do a screen. Honestly, here,
the RPO, McCarthy can pick this
Donovan
up with
Edwards
his
is in there.
legs.
Yeah,
Throw
now-
it to
now-
Edwards.
Now you want a screen, huh?
They're selling out. Edwards is there. Come on. Come on, Edwards. He's open.
Oh, JJ
Oh,
trying
and
to
he
take
tripped.
off, but just was tripped. Only going to gain about a yard. 4th and 3 from deep in their own
Not
team.
This
good.
close.
There's another punt. Yeah.
This close. If he misses him,
Great effort on
JJ might have been able to make a play downfield.
Yeah.
So a
I
shoestring
actually thought Edwards
tackle
was
there.
breaking free here. Was I wrong?
No, he was in there
yes.
to pass block.
Looked like he was open.
No.
No.
He was in there to pass block.
The other time I thought you could have sold me he was open. He wasn't open there. He tripped on his feet there. I mean, the guy made him trip on his feet.
So here we go, right? Outside of the first down play, the good play design on the RPO, JJ pulls it, should have hit Cornelius Johnson. It was a good throw, by the way.
Don't
for
send
J.J. McCarthy.
pressure if you're Washington.
No,
just
no.
lay up and just catch the
But
ball.
when J.J. McCarthy now has dropped back to pass the last couple of times, he hasn't thrown the football outside of that one play design to start off this drive. When he drops back on a pure passing down, he has tucked it and ran. Again, this is a game where Washington is very, very comfortable, where Michael Penix Jr. will now have the football back in his possession. Just a tick under 12 minutes remaining, 11:52 here in this national championship game. They're down by a touchdown. That live spread remains at 6.5. Did the over-under move at all for this live number?
So the total now is 46.5 at minus 110. So the spread is 6.5 at minus 132 to the plus 6.5. So that actually is an indication that they think that they will see Washington move the ball here a little bit. Michael Penix to throw 80 yards is his problem. Minus 112. Do you think Penix will be throwing 80 more yards in this game?
Yes.
I hope.
Yes. Either way, on this drive, 40, right? And then if they're trailing, because they're still trailing, whatever happens on Michigan's drive, he's going to be throwing.
25.5, the J.J. McCarthy passing prop.
That's telling you they're going to win the game. And there's going to be
And by the way, so I'm not going to just jump in because I actually don't find it necessary.
Because, hang on, the reason why I say that?
Go ahead.
Because if they tie it, he's going to have to throw, right? So their book is basically saying they believe Michigan right here, right now, with 13 minutes left.
That's what I'm saying.
Is going to win this ball game.
Lisi, and I know but I know you love plus money and stuff. Maybe you can take it. Blake Corum at 107 is down to 125.5. That is 18.5 more yards. The worst case scenario for Michigan on this drive, because I don't believe they'd go for two, is a tie football game. Michigan is not going to get the football back and go 5 wide, 4 verts.
No, I agree.
break, and if this game is tied, or if they're still leading when they get the ball back, JJ might be done throwing it, which means Corum, their superstar, is going to end this game out. That's why I am not touching Donovan. I think Donovan should still be on the field. I really am surprised they've not given him a screen pass.
Yeah.
But at this point in time,
if this game gets tied,
yes,
I think everything is open.
The only reason I'm not betting Blake Corum right now at 125.5 is I still think my 131.5 will be coming in, and I'm not going to go chase and get crazy.
Yeah.
But if you right now are watching this game, can access live player props and want some juice, I really like the Corum spot.
So this is the first time we've seen the 6.5 up, by the way, where Washington down by a touchdown, football back in their possession, under 12 minutes remaining in this national championship game, with a 6.5-point spread for the Huskies as an underdog live. The juice is now backing Washington as the dog, minus 138.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I know this is a little off topic. This, I believe, because of the in-game wagering, probably the most heavily bet in-game game that we've seen.
We haven't seen live player props. Last year was a rout.
But I'm saying
I agree.
The ability, because we're so tight,
yeah,
we haven't had you could go back to the game of Alabama and Georgia, but that just was in the infancy of in-game wagering.
Yeah, I mean, from an in-game perspective, as an incomplete pass there.
Oh, my God.
Paul had an opportunity.
Football, Jalen.
Good play by the DB. I'll say this to your point, Joe. Pre-game, apparently the books needed Michigan. They need them even more in-game because it has been nothing but plus on all these Washington numbers, including, I'm sure, plenty of money line. We're back after a quick break with you here as we continue our coverage of the national championship.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division.
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix to over 309.5.
Touchdown from out. Let's get active and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ball game.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back here on SportsGrid, Washington ends up having to punt here. Huge pass to Ramadunze taken off the board due to a holding penalty.
Yeah.
They came back looking for Jalen McMillan, my guy, on a screen pass. And again, this is now the story of the game from the McMillan perspective. His receptions prop was 5.5. If you told me he hit that, hey, what do you want to do at the 59.5? I need to move some things around, call some people. We're all in. This guy has 6 catches for 33 yards in this game, 5.5 yards per reception.
You're still going to have an opportunity to hit that because whatever happens on Michigan's drive.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you here, but
it's getting
late early, right? We're under 10 minutes remaining. There's 9:44 left in the national championship game. After another Washington punt, Michigan is going to have the football on its own 29-yard line. Again, we have said this so many times. This is the game that Michigan wants to play. They want to be in spots where running the football is advantageous, and they are going to do that. They are going to feed Blake Corum. Kev, to your point about that live rushing yards prop, before that Washington drive that dropped to 125 and a hook, where's that live number now on Blake Corum?
It was 131.5 as they punted, so the number came right back up. I think he'll be. I think this will be all him here as well. I don't think you get even remotely creative now.
Well, I mean, maybe you safe throws, right? And safe throws to me, I hate to say it, but you start the drive maybe with a screen pass, get a positive field position, then go back to the run. Maybe it goes to Corum, but that would be. Look, they're playing zone.
It's a light box. That's a light.
It's a light box, but you know what? They're playing zone. They're telling you they're playing zone, and they're throwing. And he got it.
Colston Loveland.
Well, he's out of the cannon all of a sudden.
Wow.
That is well over.
But that helps you.
The live J.J. McCarthy numbers. It certainly does. I would put eyeballs on a Blake Corum anytime touchdown, as I absolutely think that if Michigan scores here, they're going to find a way to get it to number 2.
Yep.
And now I think you're going to run.
Yeah.
Oof. I can't criticize it too. I'm not criticizing. I mean, it worked, right? It's one of those things that I would be ripping to shreds if it didn't work.
Who is that?
But they knew that they had to hit one pass against this team with how much they were playing up, and now they probably will trust Corum to try and ice this thing here.
So here we are, right? We're about to be at 9 minutes in the national championship game. All that is left in this 2023 college football season.
They called it?
Colston Loveland made an incredible catch on a ball that was a little bit high and got downfield. He has 64 receiving yards now. His pregame prop that was on the card, 35.5, over that number. I will say this, right? We were at 9 minutes. The play clock is getting to 10. I would be surprised if they snap this anything more than
Mullings.
About 7. A play fake. They're throwing the football.
Roman Wilson underneath picks up a first down and a little bit more as well.
It is the way to go because now they're stacking the box, right? So now when we talk about second half adjustments, this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Could I get Cornelius Johnson in?
All of a sudden, if you're Washington, you do feel a bit scattered.
You do.
Because the first down throw was surprising.
Yep.
I think even more surprising was the second down throw in that instance right there. And now if you're Michigan, you can do whatever you want.
Yep.
Because while it is not 100% true, you know that a field goal is all you need. Now, again, not all you need. It's all you want.
Correct.
Here, you'd love to get a touchdown, but what you're really trying to do is burn this clock, and Blake Corum will pick up some more yardage here. Actually, Blake Corum is at 110, so I would we are not going to be able to hit this prop on this drive.
You're not, no.
But great opportunity for that Michigan will be able to get the football back in this game, which is, again, where I would anticipate Corum could be the icer.
12-yard touchdown for Cornelius Johnson would be fantastic.
I would say, Joe, I'll be very surprised that this also on 2nd and 8 here is not a run.
Yeah.
They are absolutely keyed in right now. Now, it could be a McCarthy run, but I expect this to be another rush here to Blake Corum. And it's a great play call.
Off the edge.
And there he's Every
going to
time.
score on the ground for the 26th time.
I said that the second they hit the big pass. I said it the second they hit the big pass.
Drive?
No, we were doing it on the other one.
Yeah, I'm sure he
that
was
was
plus
the 11th offensive.
he probably was the same price, right?
Sure.
Plus 340.
And is that the final blow that Michigan has to throw here in the national championship game to win its first championship since 1997? A huge drive for Blake Corum. J.J. McCarthy making the throws when he needed to. Corum now, Kev, 18 carries, 125 yards. Did score. We said, if Michigan scores in this football game, more than likely Blake Corum.
Oh, my gosh.
Goodness. Off the left upright for James Turner and still found its way through. The extra point, while dicey, does go through the uprights. Michigan a full 2-touchdown lead, 27-13. And Kev, you are a touchdown away from Washington from hitting a 16-1. Go for the loop play as well. Both teams to score a touchdown and a field goal in each half.
So what I think I'm going to do, and I'm going to pull this up here, but I need to this is where we're on air, and I'm trying to just work this out in my head.
Please, talk it through.
I might bet Michigan right now, spread, as a bit of a hedge on that 16-1. Washington is a touchdown or bust team. There's a Michigan 11.5 in the market.
Wow.
For whatever reason. And if that bet is a winner, then I don't see how Washington will not be scoring without a touchdown.
For sure. They're down.
There's no pathway to any field goal or anything.
Grady Gross already has 7 points.
This is 4-down territory, the whole bit.
For sure.
I tell you what, you want to take a shot? Lay not the 13.5, alt it up.
Yeah. No, you know what I'm doing is I'm actually just because it's a nice little ticket, it's not going to look, it was a 16-1, folks. Trust me. I don't have oodles and oodles and oodles of money on it. But what I'm going to not do is lose money on that prop.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put a couple extra dollars in my pocket here with this Michigan minus 11.5.
Can I ask you, though, just in case you want another angle, under 46.5, which would obviously be staying under that touchdown, Washington not to score, plus 134.
I'll tell you why. Michigan could score.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
For sure.
Pick six, trying to ice out the game. Edwards hits another one.
Yeah.
It wouldn't stun at all.
Guys, I hate to cut you off.
No, please.
Jalen McMillan, in-game total, 39.5. He's got 33.
In-game total, 39.5. He's got 33. Oh, it's a great look.
Minus 114 either way.
It's a great look. I wouldn't even mind an alt if he does hit finally the big pass he's kind of been due for.
Michael Penix Jr. right now, 22 of 38, by the way.
Jalen Polk, 28.5. He's got 26. So outside of a Duze,
when you want.
Well, you take. I'm just saying it.
Yeah, no.
The book is telling you that he's not going to have any completions on this drive.
I did, again, for anybody out there who is with that 16-1, if you want, I just put a portion on Michigan minus 11.5. There's a slim world we hit both. It is very likely, but this is, again, just essentially I'm covering the risk.
Yep.
With a touch more. That's all I did there. If you're on it and you want to do what I'm doing, I'm just letting everybody know. But that is all that really is there. Nothing more, nothing less. I would much rather those couple extra dollars or be a loss, and we get a Penix touchdown here as well. Although
Penix touchdown would be amazing.
I mean, a Penix rushing touchdown, Lisi. I'll root it in for you, pal.
So here's a interesting thing I would say as well. All three rushing scores on the ground for Michigan. J.J. McCarthy does not have a passing score. Michael Penix Jr. only has one pass touchdown tonight to one interception. Now, what I think is interesting, Joe, to your point about Jalen McMillan versus Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze is at 55.5 with that live number.
Dylan Johnson is at 33.5 with 33 yards right now. I mean, is there any world this kid runs the football?
Probably not.
What do you do if you're?
I mean, if they get inside the 10, then yeah.
Really?
I do. I want to take all the receivers right now, but I'm trying to think of this. You're telling me that Polk and McMillan
to win money. Polk needs 3. McMillan needed 7, and Rome needed, I think, 13.
Yeah. So you're telling me we can't get all 3 of those guys? Yeah. They're going to be throwing the whole rest of the game.
Corum needs 12 more yards
and
on
Donovan
his
Edwards needs 3. Should we just jump in on everybody? I mean, Michigan gets the ball back, they're running.
Correct.
So that's Corum, that's Edwards.
Yep.
I think it's Corum, though.
Washington is throwing the whole game.
Help me with this here. Just
take
hypothetically.
everybody.
3 straight incompletions. Are you going for it?
You have
4th
to.
and 10. That's what I'm saying. And that's part of the reason, Ben, I lay the 11.5.
Yeah.
Because if Michigan kicks a field
For
goal.
sure. Absolutely so. And I think that's very smart.
So
but that would still have kept you under because it was 46.
Look at this.
But yeah.
There it is.
No,
There's
you.
one,
But I'm trying to be
Polk,
greedy and get
Polk
it all.
just got his number.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Why didn't we do that?
True.
Why
Well,
didn't I
to
pull
be
it?
Didn't work his way back.
It was close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4 yards though. He threw his number.
Yeah. He only needed 3.
I didn't know where they gave him where he stopped.
But
Came all the way
here's
back.
where things get a little precarious for Washington because now there's 6 minutes and 45 seconds left.
Yeah, you're right,
In
Joe.
this
It was
fourth
number.
quarter remaining in regulation, you need 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You got to go with tempo. You got to score twice against the Michigan team.
You do have all 3 timeouts.
For sure.
Give me
Clock
a
does
Penix
stop
touchdown.
still after first downs in the final 2 minutes, I believe, of the fourth quarter.
Give me a Penix touchdown.
There's a lot of opportunity out there, though.
Where's he going?
Who could be the man?
Wide open.
Wow.
Oh,
It's
my
Rome
goodness.
through every number.
Watch the football. Oh, my God.
Everything changed.
Not through every number.
Everything.
His
off the
live
hip.
prop, he needed 13 yards.
No, I meant pregame because he was at 40.
Not pregame.
That's why I said. That's why I stopped
my
myself.
God, how?
55 and a half guys. We should have
Taking
just.
this.
Why didn't we take all those 3 guys?
To be honest
you're
with
right.
you, because it was quick, Joe.
Yeah,
I think
I
the
know.
answer.
I was actually about to bet.
None of us here said a bad idea. 87 on
for
whoa.
88 and a half, that live number or 88 and a half, the pregame number, for Rome Odunze.
Wow.
He's now had at least 82 receiving yards in
He's
14 of the
All-star.
15
He's
games
throwing
for the
the
Huskies.
whole-
Dylan Johnson
this
isn't
year.
even on the field. You know what's funny is you wanted all those receivers. If Dylan Johnson runs the football one more time,
Yeah.
I think that means Washington
So-
tied the game and we're in overtime.
Here's what's interesting about this Washington offensive line. That's now the 5th penalty against them, a holding call and 4 false starts for the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. Not mistakes we have seen them make throughout a majority of this regular season, certainly not in the Sugar Bowl.
Wow.
The idea of pressure that Michigan is going to bring on Michael Penix Jr. I don't understand. Somebody jumped,
broken
I believe
coverage.
it was Jalen McMillan on a short route and a left Rome Odunze deep.
All right, so all of a sudden now it's a 1st and 15 for this
Look at this.
Washington offense, and Michael Penix
Oh,
needs to be
he was
careful
wide open.
with the football here. Live numbers, though. Let's get this
Yeah.
up and loaded for the people.
I'm all locked in.
Now I'm mad at myself.
Don't be. 10.5 is the live spread. 46.5 is the live. 10.5 is nice. It is
6.5. Where's that over now? Where's the juice I mean?
Wait, can you get an minus 190 to the over? Can you get an alt spread? No, you can't. 10.5 is minus 138. Here's what I'll tell you, though, guys. You need a touchdown.
Need it.
In order to be covering that bet. But they're not hanging an alt spread, so there's not much you can do off of it.
Correct.
4-down territory. We all know that.
About it. No
Let's
doubt
get
about
down inside the 5 and let him run it.
Oh, we still need the Penix rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
it. Oh,
Looks like he was
Right.
hot off the line, right?
Yeah.
okay.
Either that or a false start. Something was wrong.
There's a
there.
short one to Will Nixon. That looked weird.
Will Nixon, no number.
No, certainly
No,
not.
no.
Third string back.
I mean, we got to go with a little bit of pace here.
So
Figure you got to score ahead of. I put 330 as the number.
again, the incredible thing though is no, but
330 in terms
if
of
they
time.
do,
right? 3 timeouts, you get the ball
so
back.
330 you want to score of if you're talking about like the greatest case scenario in the world, Joe.
Right.
When we saw Texas the other day have 10 seconds left, you know what I mean?
I know.
No. My point is
Right.
this Washington team, if they did score a touchdown on this play, they have all 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
Like they're kicking it deep. So that's kind of the situation you're in now. McMillan just hasn't had it today, so unfortunately.
But you got to score here. We're 4th and 13.
We are going to, unfortunately,
Interesting.
despite a ton of luck today being live for you for all of these key plays, we will probably be in commercial break for this critical 4th down. But our coverage does continue, so go nowhere on SportsGrid as we continue to break down the national championship game.
North Carolina, we've got new sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. We're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run.
That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix to over 309.5.
Let's shop around. Let's get active and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ball game.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Well, it was a big one. The Michigan Wolverines pick off Michael Penix on a 4th and 13. What happened on the prior 4th and 13 was a holding penalty and a pass interference penalty that brought it out. This ball is on the 8-yard line. Yeah. I need Blake Corum to pick up every single one of these yards, and Lord knows he is going to.
You got him.
This kid is remarkable. He's at the 1-yard line.
Oh, wow.
That's enough for the live prop of 131.5, though.
It is, but
is it?
Only by a
got it. Good job.
I got to tell you, the amount of people right now that are sweating out Corum 2+.
Oh, my goodness.
Is unimaginable.
I'd love to see Edwards get
34-13.
I hear you. No, I hear you. McCarthy for a sneak. I mean, but I expect this to be Corum. Ben, you would expect this to be Corum again for a second?
So. And it would be his 27th rushing touchdown.
Are we sure he shouldn't have been in the Heisman conversation?
Yeah, his yardage wasn't there.
I mean, it's like 50 touchdowns.
He only had one
game over 100 yards.
You know what it is?
In Big Ten play.
More than anything.
And
I'm not being super serious. They didn't play anything.
Edwards
and
is in there. That's Edwards.
No, it's not.
Corum, man.
Is it?
Yeah, they're going
to. Yeah, it's Blake Corum. Walks right in.
That's his 7th consecutive game.
And all of a sudden,
multiple touchdowns.
All of a sudden, Blake Corum, 2+ touchdowns.
Was what?
Hadn't scored
plus 130. Not a big ticket, but Lisi, so many people on that.
That was plus.
No, pregame.
Wonder what it was when Edwards scored.
Well, he was 2-1 at one point. By the way, the score is now 34-13. So here's the reality: Michigan's winning the national championship.
Yep.
Michigan is going to be covering, and all of a sudden, we said the books need Michigan from the live numbers. Well, they're getting them.
Yeah.
Because this team's up 21 points if this extra point goes in, and there was never a Washington number that tall. Never.
Yep.
Not one. And there's a lot of Washington live money line tickets that I am absolutely positive were clicked on throughout this game.
Happiest guy right now? George Klevikoff. Happy that the Pac-12 didn't win this game.
We're going to talk big picture, certainly at some point here in this final hour for us.
But we still got props to root on, including a Washington touchdown that would make this just the game of the season for me. Yeah. And all of a sudden, I'll stop being upset that Bama and Texas didn't play in this game. The top of the hour, less than a minute. We continue to break down the national championship game right here.
smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Back right here on Sports Grid College Football. Today's crew with you on CFT Live for the national championship game. The number 1 Michigan Wolverines up 34-13 on the number 2 Washington Huskies. Kevin Walsh, Ben Stevens, and Joe Lisi. 1st and 10. What is on the line? There are some live Washington bets out there, 15.5s, 14.5, 17.5s that are needed. By the way, we mentioned the biggest margin lead in this game, 17.5. That's actually now an over, incredibly there. Penix passing yards. Ramadunze needs another catch for his yardage. Polk, McMillan, all of that is absolutely here. But, folks, we have a chance to grab a 16-1 if a Washington touchdown comes in here out the back door while still keeping this game under the 56.5. That is the dream scenario right now and certainly what I'm rooting on.
Oh, look at this.
Jalen Polk.
Give him a block.
Get upfield, and stay in.
It's about 8 yards.
And the 15-yarder.
Yeah, that's 15 at the back end there. Penix is hurting, but he's going to stay out.
Do we get a double, 30 yards in penalties?
No, I think
that's
Penix is hurt for
I
5
agree.
before. Taking shot after shot. An absolute gamer, but
before this drive, Penix at 2:46. The drive started on the 17-yard line. So 30 to 80. 83 available. So you can get through your pregame number on Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, I can.
So what are we discussing here? It's targeting. Let's go.
Yeah, but Penix is in a bad way.
Such a long delay.
Could he run it? Could he get in there if it's inside the 5? You think he would sell out?
Again, this is where you shift to nuts. You're asking if Penix can get a rushing touchdown while they're on the 23. I don't think he
college
does.
Game,
I think he'd rather throw one.
I don't think so. He's got that already.
He's already done that.
He's
been there, done that.
Right.
By the way, that's actually
his head
clear
off.
and obvious target.
Very much so.
Ripped his head right
off.
off.
It's tough. Jalen Polk's being dragged to the ground, but certainly cannot launch with the crown of the helmet, which is what Will Johnson did.
To the radio.
Let's welcome in that Sports Grid radio audience here. It's now the 11 p.m. Eastern hour here as we watch the national championship game 1 versus 2 between Michigan and Washington. The Wolverines, a 21-point lead, 34-13 over the Huskies at this moment, up by 3 touchdowns, under 3.5 minutes remaining. The targeting flag picked up on Will Johnson.
Really?
Interesting call there.
Bad call.
He did launch
Stunning
the crown of the helmet, but maybe because in that moment Jalen Polk was being dragged down to the ground already in a grasp of a Michigan team tackle, they overturn the call on the field or at least reverse it and pick up the flag. So now Washington will have a 2nd and short. Michael Penix Jr. is dealing with some sort of issue in that midsection as he is trying to get anything going for Washington, down by 3 touchdowns. And that ball was a little bit high. And
oh, my gosh. Connect with the kid. Give him a chance. Give him a prayer.
What do you need?
30 yards.
30 yards? All right.
I mean, you got to give him a chance before we do anything else.
They're going to run it here with Dylan Johnson just to get the first down?
You know what? It is. You know what? He's not playing anymore. It's the backup. Nixon?
Will Nixon, yeah.
So it's not,
we haven't even seen Tybo Rogers, man. I don't know what happened there.
What is that story?
5 carries, 19 yards in the Sugar Bowl for an injured
5 wide.
Penix minus 5 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So to get to
that one sack,
10-yard rush,
12-yard sack, really
wide open. There he is. Got to get up the field. You got to get up the field.
He's short.
4th and 1.
He's short.
Oh God.
You know, Michigan isn't playing as soft as you would think.
Well, Nixon.
Yeah, he's done. He's had a bad game.
You quarterback sneak this just to get the first.
I think he can barely hold in his ribs.
He's throwing.
Yeah.
But you see him. He's throwing the football. He's backing up. He's not stepping into a lot of throws. I think there was a lot of pain in that front side for the lefty, Michael Penix Jr. This is very much the football game if Washington unable to convert on 4th and a long yard. And to do that, they're going to run it
and
with
get
Will Nixon and get that.
Clock
does not stop until under 2 minutes despite a first down.
Oh, wow.
We got to – it doesn't matter. But
it does. I need a Washington touchdown.
Yeah, you do.
Nice.
Yeah, from the betting perspective, yes.
Come on, I need Penix. Go deep.
We'll see
there
what
it
he
is.
has.
Wide
there it is.
open.
Oh, they can't hold on to the
key
football.
Drops here in the second half.
I will say, and you can tell me maybe I'm being too kind. Great defensive plays, though, on most of those.
For sure.
Like, a lot of times you
Secondary's
want to
pop
see
off.
these guys hold on to the football, but these kids have been really timely in their defensive tackling.
Again, there's been a lot of conversation about this Michigan team and how good really is this defense. Some of that, the jokes around the sign-stealing scandal, some of that actual hesitation based on what this Michigan defensive staff may or may not know. Outside of that, this team is incredibly talented, elite defensively. There was some thought that because they play in the Big Ten, the defensive numbers weren't really true. We have seen that be the case here in the college football playoff, that this defense is just flat out elite, and they are very, very good at playing football against Alabama and now against the most lethal passing attack in all of college football. And Michael Penix Jr. is getting battered here to end out this game.
He is. And there's a level right now from this Washington team. And look, we kind of know the score, and we know the deal. This is a Michigan national championship year. But if you're going to be out there with Penix, right, well, why don't you do the smart thing? Not every play needs to be 40 yards down the field. That seems like the routes these guys are running.
And I don't think Michael Penix Jr. is coming out of this football game. I
agree.
think even if Kalen DeBoer said, hey, buddy, you've had a great career here in Seattle. Let's come to a close. I don't think Penix Jr. is leaving this football game now under 2 minutes remaining. What is it, 3rd and 10 here, under 2 minutes left. I mean, he's under relentless pressure, as you would expect.
Again.
Nobody's even around.
And look, I got to give Michigan credit, although it's actually frustrating. They're applying pressure here, but Michael Penix and this Washington team, just go quick in terms of just take some short stuff then, and you should be able to push it upfield with the defense that's going to play back and blitz.
They sort of conceded the fact that they're down, I think, 3 scores and just trying to get anything. We need them to get a first down here.
Very much so. Do you think they would use their timeouts? They do have all 3.
National championship game, you go for broke, right?
Yeah, I don't
want to go.
If you're out here with Michael Penix Jr. and your entire starting staff at the moment, you're picking up first downs, you're looking to score a touchdown,
What
you're
are we
looking to
doing
go.
here?
Is that a delay of game?
No.
I don't know. Timeout, Michigan.
Now,
we've got week 0. Early look ahead lines.
Can I just say something? With the refereeing and the officiating, and I mean, he's taking shots, but they are some of them late. I'm just saying, look.
I think the Polk pickup was a bit surprising.
The targeting one?
Yeah, and that would have had him at midfield.
I think the first holding call when they had the big play?
Yeah.
I thought that was a little suspect. I mean, all of a sudden now we have penalties in the last 8 minutes of this game.
It's been mostly a clean football game from that respect. And I don't think the holding penalties were all that bad, actually.
I think the second one was deserved. I thought the first one wasn't.
Okay.
First one was a little... You could have let that go. With the game on the line?
Yeah, arm was up around the neck. He was clearly beat on the play.
We are coming up against the break. I'm hoping that we can get this 4th and 10 in. There's a chance that when we come back, we're rooting in a Washington drive or we're talking about a national championship for Michigan. So it's a turnover on downs. The question now is, will Washington use their timeouts? We'll have the answer to that on the other side.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is
Michael Penix Jr. over 309 and a half.
Touchdown per round. Let's get active and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ball game.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The maize and blue confetti is on the field inside NRG Stadium in Houston, Texas. Michigan, the number one team in the country, is now a national champion. Welcome back to College Football Today's National Championship Special, live right here on SportsGrid. Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh, and Ben Stevens, we have hit triple zeros inside H-Town tonight, and Michigan has won the 2023 College Football Playoff National Championship. In this 2023 CFB campaign, 34-13, the final score. Michigan covers as a 5.5-point pregame favorite. The over-under pregame of 55.5 does stay under. The first national championship for this Wolverines football program since 1997. Just the second national championship in this decade-long run of the college football playoff 4-team format. The first won by Ohio State in 2014, and now the Buckeyes' biggest rival, Michigan, here to cap off the 2023 college football campaign. Lisi, it will be very interesting looking back on this season in 2023, the last of normalcy before sweeping changes come to the collegiate athletics landscape in 2024, and specifically for the Maize and Blue, a year where their head coach, Jim Harbaugh, served 2 different 3-game suspensions throughout the regular season, a ton of focus on a sign-stealing scandal in Ann Arbor. But at the end of the day, Michigan ends the 2023 college football campaign on top as a national champion tonight in Houston.
Yeah, and they did it SEC-like, right? Offensive line, defensive line. They got to the quarterback tonight, and the rushing attack was dominant. Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum both over 100 yards, 4 total touchdowns between them. They dictated the tempo, and ultimately we said that would be the matchup heading into this ball game, Ben. And, you know, Jim Harbaugh built a physicality. He built an identity. It took him a while to get, to this point, but he stuck with it. And, again, they got the right matchups. They dominated Alabama in the trenches, and they dominated a more finesse type of offense in terms of Michael Penix tonight. And, once they started to run the football, they played with a lead for most of the night, never challenged in the second half.
We mentioned the Penn State game that Michigan played. This was even better. 38 carries, 303 yards. Yeah. That is 8 yards per carry with 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 for Corum in the second half, 2 for Donovan Edwards in the first half. Now, I'll admit that 34-13 scoreline is a completely unfair representation of what this game was. This game was much, much closer than 21-point rout that Michigan ultimately put on. Good for them. I'm not taking anything away. Washington hung in where they could. They did slow down the Wolverines' rush attack a bit as this game carried on. You know, Blake Corum ended up averaging 6.4 yards per carry.
Yeah,
considering
crazy.
At one point he was at 17 yards per carry, they did a hell of a job. Donovan Edwards ended up averaging only 17 yards per carry. He was 2 carries in and averaging over 40 yards per rush. So, again, they did bow up a little bit as it carried on. But the real key was Michigan being able to keep the Washington offense in check, even when they moved the ball. Nothing was truly explosive. They had one 44-yard catch to Roma Dunze, and that was all. That was all that they had that went more than maybe even 20 yards in this game. Michael Penix threw the ball 51 times. You know, we talk about this stuff all the time, right? If I would have told you that you got 51 attempts from Michael Penix Jr., what's your best bet? I mean, Penix 400 plus, right?
Yeah.
He ended up throwing for just 255 yards, 5 yards per pass attempt here in this game. It is a great job by Michigan in the two areas that they've been great this year, the rush attack and the defensive secondary.
And we talked about it in the pregame. 7 passing touchdowns allowed all season long, 16 interceptions, only a 55% completion percentage. They gave up one tonight, but at the end of the day, to give up 8 passing touchdowns, and just knowing how college football is played, whether it be the Big Ten or Pac-12, that's a fantastic effort. I mean, dominant defensive effort tonight. They deserve to win this ball game. And again, you just look at the game plan. I mean, they allowed Washington back in this game. I really believe that. You know, you looked at the way this game was played early on with Donovan Edwards setting the tone. Once they got the double-digit lead, it was due to the ineffectiveness of the passing attack, which allowed Michael Penix to get back into this ball game and make it closer than what it was.
Yeah, no doubt.
And, at the end of the day, I'd say it was probably a double-digit. It was right. It wasn't 21 like Kevin said, but it was clearly a 10 to 14-point number the whole game.
And there have been questions about this Michigan football team all season long. Level of competition early on until they got later into Big Ten play. Their final 3 games of the regular season, on the road in Happy Valley, a resounding win against Penn State. Tested by Maryland in the game before the game, and then a 3rd consecutive victory over Ohio State, a 3rd consecutive Big Ten championship. But the knock around the maize and blue, reaching a college football playoff for a 3rd straight season, was Jim Harbaugh and his overall level of success. Knocked out of the CFP in the semifinal round each of the past 2 years. Harbaugh's bowl record at the time at the helm of this organization in Ann Arbor, just 1-6. A complete reverse of fortune for the Michigan Wolverines here in the 2023 college football season. Questions about what Michigan had done this year, but again, epitomized by what we saw in the college football playoff. 27-20, the victory over Alabama, the defense standing tall once again, in a secondary in college football that was the second best in the sport this year at the FBS level, allowing less than $153 through the air. Mikey Sanders still the outstanding safety and defensive back for the Maize and Blue. His 6th interception to seal the game that he took nearly all the way back to the house for the Wolverines. Will Johnson, 4 INTs this year. Each guy picks off Michael Penix Jr., Kev, and that was what led Michigan throughout this college football season. An incredibly sound and elite defense backed up by a run game that we saw with a re-emergence tonight, over 300 yards against the Huskies.
And now the question is, as we watch the celebration, as I'm doing everything in my power not to question how good Washington actually is, will JJ be back?
Yes.
Will Jim Harbaugh be back?
No.
And which one matters more? I think it's an interesting question because if Harbaugh's gone,
right,
Sharon Moore steps right up and in as their head coach.
I think so.
But from a recruiting aspect, I think it matters.
I think, not to cut you off, but I do feel, although I completely concede you both know it better than I do, but I think one of the big, Georgia every year now has like the number 1 recruiting class, and I know the Bulldogs always recruited well. When you start putting a national championship on the table, it changes it. Michigan now gets to walk into those kids' houses and say, we're the national champs, and that's already job done.
Right, but it's almost like that, Harbaugh is that polarizing figure as well, where when Saban walks in, doesn't matter if Saban's 10-2, he's Nick Saban, has the pedigree. Even though the staff won the national championship, it's ultimately Harbaugh that brought it there. From a recruiting aspect, it might take a little knock. I'll just say this. The way the college football landscape is going to be currently with a 12-team playoff, we talked about coaches jumping like Lanning and Kiffin. They're going to stay now because once you build a winner, you don't need to be top 4. You don't need to be 12-0 anymore. You could be a 10-2, potentially 11-1, and still make the playoff. That lures coaches to programs.
And it's perfection for Michigan. A perfect, undefeated 15-0 season, booked as a favorite in all 15 games. Now 9-5-1 against the spread, covering as a 5.5-point favorite, winning 34-13 in the national championship game tonight in Houston over number 2 Washington. The Wolverines now become the 5th perfect 15-0 national champion in the 10-year history of the college football playoff. And Kev, there were questions about this Michigan team, but ultimately it is their first national title since 1997. Questions this year, questions to come in the offseason. But again, this Michigan team, a national title winner tonight as the confetti continues to rain down inside NRG Stadium.
And look, all of those questions, folks in Ann Arbor could care less about. Their national champs. And, well, I was going to say you can't take that away from them, but apparently Reggie Bush never won a Heisman Trophy, and college sports sometimes is really stupid, so they probably could take that away from them if they want.
We'll have those big picture conversations up next, but what's to know right now? Michigan, a national champion of the 2023 CFB campaign. More to come next.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix to over 309.5.
Touchdown from out. Let's get active and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe that Michigan in this ballgame can run the football, work off of play action. They can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ballgame.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're back right here on SportsGrid. Allow me to sit up and get set for an important conversation around Michigan football. But before we do that, the losing side of this, Washington.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to be honest, and you're both going to hate this. I am right now very tempted to say that Washington showed their true colors as this game went on. But I also was the one who said this game was not as big of a blowout as the 21 points looks like it was. I guess that's probably where, deep in my heart, no, I can admit this, I just know Alabama would also beat Washington, and it does bother me. I think the Huskies' defense was as absolutely bad as I said it was on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Their offense, I mean, missing Dylan Johnson did hurt, but they didn't show up in this game. And now I guess one game doesn't erase a team that had won every other game that they had played, and they had put a lot of great wins on the board here. I think it's going to be really interesting what the future for the Washington program is, though, because every key guy other than DeBoer, Ben, is walking out of that door.
Yeah, absolutely so. Michael Penix Jr. is on to the next level. Same with Roma Dunze. I believe most of that wide receiver room is probably going to make their way to the next level. Dylan Johnson, a veteran as well. We'll see what they return on the defensive side of the football. But normally when you have your way too early 2024 college football rankings, if you are going to have a team that finished as the national runner-up, who only had one loss in 15 total games this year, they'd be a top 10, top 15 team looking forward to 2024. So many gaps now along this roster. Does not mean that Kalen DeBoer cannot build it back up, as he did very quickly in Seattle in his 2-year run and his tenure at the helm of this Huskies football program. But a new venture. This is a conference game in 2024 between Washington and Michigan. A lot of changes coming our way in college football and really all of college sports starting next season. And it's not just necessarily refresh and reload for Washington. Doesn't mean they can't get back to this stage, but they will be a very different looking team, Joe, next year to start than they are right now.
Yeah, and think about who they're going to have to go up against in the Big Ten, right? And the one team that transferred or moved into the Big Ten, Oregon, already has their quarterback solidified for next year with Dylan Gabriel transferring into the program. So, again, it goes back to now name recognition, right? Everybody wants to go to Oregon, Nike, and the brand recognition. Playing in a national championship helps, though, right? People now understand what Washington is all about. You might get high school talent and JUCO talent that does transfer in. But, again, they're going to be behind teams like Oregon that move into the conference. Certainly now we just saw Quinshon Judkins transfer into Ohio State. That solidifies the Buckeyes from that perspective. We have to see how this plays out. But, again, DeBoer's a great coach. I mean, I think the one thing, he took maybe more with this team, and they overexceeded expectations. He had a very good team, right? But what he was able to do in big games, I mean, they were battle-tested this year, and that's something maybe they could have slipped up towards the end of the regular season. To go undefeated in the Pac-12 this year with so much parity is a testament to how he coached his team up. And, again, I think they're going to be good next year. Elite is a different story.
Well, here's what I will say. And, again, they need to take down a 34-13 because I just want to slander them. So it's
okay, take it.
No. What I will say, though, is as I watch Harbaugh out there accepting this, well, he would have killed to be in this scenario the first time they made it in. Instead, they got smashed their first game.
Yeah.
And he would have killed double to do that the second time they got in. Right. And that was almost more embarrassing than what happened the first time they had to play at Georgia. So for Washington, it's all about getting there. There's a very short list of teams that have ever played in a national championship.
They played in two college football playoffs.
So to that degree, and yes, look, DeBoer with the wide receiver talent in Penix, but also to some degree, I mean, I know you love what Penix had at Indiana, but I mean, it was a whole different level what they were able to do with him at Washington.
Sure, yeah.
When we talk about quarterbacks and where you could be excited to go, Washington could be that place. I want to shift it to Michigan, but quickly, just Trevor Henderson's staying at Ohio State, right? I know it's college football, and you're allowed to have deep backfields.
As far as we know, I mean, he ran it. He played in the bowl game.
That's what I'm saying.
As of today, he's there.
That's just a little surprising.
Before we quickly transition to Michigan, just should be noted, this is the final Pac-12 football game we will see in the iteration of this conference, where things currently stand. The Pac-2 awaits Oregon State and Washington State, but Washington is going to be a Big Ten team. The final Pac-12 football game in that conference history, and Washington was the team to send them back to the college football playoffs since the last time Washington was there in 2016. But Michigan, a national champion, now the future will be uncertain in Ann Arbor, but celebration aplenty tonight in H-Town.
It really does.
So then we can kind of walk into the Harbaugh aspect of it. I don't have anywhere near as much conviction that he is leaving as I did last offseason. Now, he didn't leave last offseason, but you'll never convince me he didn't want to. I think he wanted to be coach of the Minnesota Vikings this season. And ultimately, for whatever reason, it did not work out, and he came back to Michigan. He is now a national champion. But I don't see any world he is not once again suspended going into football games next year. And at some point, if you're Harbaugh, you got to say, you know what, this just isn't for me. I am tired of being suspended. I have countless NFL teams that would love to bring me back, and I've never won a Super Bowl. I've done it here, and it's time for me to go do it up back at the Super Bowl level.
I agree. I toggle with this, and I'll tell you why. Because now with the expansion of the 12-team playoff, and we talk about the success of Nick Saban that he had at Alabama, once you get that train rolling, baby, you don't have – it sells itself. Right? I mean, the recruiting aspect. You build a winner. You win a national championship. You're in the college football playoff each and every year. When it was 4, now it's 12. It's a guaranteed sell. We're going to be there. Even if we go 10-2, most likely we have the brand recognition. So you're going to get the talent, right? At the NFL level, you have to actually perform, and the window lately is a 2-year window at the very most. Maybe Harbaugh gets 3 to turn it around, but it's win now or get out. Now, the reason why I think that you said he wanted to go to Minnesota was because he'd never won a college football playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
If he had that success, would he be as apt to move to the NFL prior to this year? And now that he's tasted victory and he's brought a national championship back to his alma mater, I said up there, he's gone. But part of me says, you know what? Does he really have to work that hard if he's getting $10 million? He's suspended maybe 3 games, and all the 5-star recruits are still coming?
So it's been 9 years for Jim Harbaugh back at his alma mater in Ann Arbor. I think his goal has always been to bookend his career as a college head football coach for his alma mater as a Michigan man with a national championship. It would bring a pretty outright conclusion to his time in Ann Arbor. Let's not forget, during the sign-stealing scandal, there was still a contract extension reportedly offered to Jim Harbaugh that he was on the brink of signing. Just a small caveat from the athletics department in Ann Arbor: don't take any NFL interviews. Jim Harbaugh did not agree to that. The focus has always been on this football team, knowing the future is uncertain. That's why I think there was a paramount emphasis placed on winning a national championship this season. And Michigan, under Jim Harbaugh, able to accomplish that. And that's his legacy, right? To be the quarterback at Michigan, to be the head coach for nearly a decade in Ann Arbor, to deliver the first national championship for a storied Michigan football program since 1997, their first solo national title, by the way, since 1948. That is etched in Jim Harbaugh's legacy in Ann Arbor. I think you could tie a pretty concise bow on his time in Ann Arbor if he so makes the decision to look toward the National Football League.
Yeah, he's gone. I'm such a sucker.
Why? You liked him hugging his brother?
Yeah, big time.
Brought back.
His brother that now might just win the Super Bowl entirely because he won this game. I haven't liked the Ravens all season until that moment. I just think, and this is going to sound so lofty, but I don't care. He goes to the NFL and wins a Super Bowl. He gets to consider himself as one of the greatest coaches in the history of football.
He's a great football coach.
But I'm talking about the greatest football coach of all time.
You put it
when you do it at. Listen, Urban Meyer.
Jimmy Johnson did it. Pete Carroll did it. You go up with those guys,
right? But that and that's a level though that matters when you can get there.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Think about Saban. Never did it. Saban went from
Urban
college.
Meyer tarnished his legacy to some degree with what happened in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Here's the problem. In today's NFL, right, we're going back to the running game, right, methodical offenses, right? He hasn't coached up a quarterback yet outside of Cap. Think about that. I'm just saying, when they went to the Super Bowl, I mean, from the college perspective.
So the difference, though, you're
saying.
right.
No, I mean, I hear your point. I think we're picking at straws a little bit when it comes to Jim Harbaugh and obviously the great success the guy has had as a head
He's had a
football coach at every level.
great success. I just think that if you're like, there's been reports of him going with Herbert. I mean, is that a right fit? You want Harbaugh coaching that team with Herbert, or you want a more of an offensive minded?
So to me, I actually think the strength for Harbaugh is what's a current strength for his brother, and it was a strength for Jim while he was here at Michigan. Is the coordinators. You know, Harbaugh oversees everything. I mean, Sharon Moore again might just become the Michigan head coach if he leaves. Jesse Minter's going to get work, no problem. The reason the Ravens ended up taking the MVP off Brock Purdy was McDonald. Monken has been incredible this year with Lamar. So I get what you're saying, but to me, you're telling me, hey, Harbaugh walks in and has Justin Herbert, and he's going to put around him A-plus guy and A-plus guy. That's the idea, is a CEO.
Yep. I'm just saying, I think he's a better fit for the Patriots in terms of that regard than maybe Herbert. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying it.
He's just a darn good football coach. There's no other way to slice it. He's had success at every level, FCS, FBS, and the National Football League.
And that right there, again, because we're watching the highlights roll, J.J. McCarthy and Sharon Moore. Look towards next year. Could that duo still be making the Michigan Wolverines feel dangerous? We'll talk about it on the other side.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there, one of the fresh sports betting states.
Where they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix to over 309.5.
Let's shop around. Let's get active, and let's get the best of the numbers here. So
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ball game.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
we spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yeah, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live with you here on SportsGrid, Kevin Walsh, Ben Stevens, Joe Lisi. Michigan is the national champion, and next year, not favored to win it. Or the second choice, not even the first choice from the Big Ten. That would be Ohio State, who's making some news tonight. We'll get to that in a moment, but I do imagine that those odds would move if J.J. McCarthy comes back. I think they'd move a ton more if Harbaugh comes back. Although, the AP poll is going to have Michigan as number 1. You believe Washington will be 2?
No.
Who do you think it'll be?
Georgia or Alabama?
It definitely won't be Bama.
I don't know if Washington's going to be inside the top 10, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant this season's AP poll. They usually
AP top 25.
I thought you meant for next year.
No.
I think Michigan's 1, Washington's 2.
Yeah,
I think Georgia will be 3. You think they'll
yeah,
jump
there's a possibility, yeah.
So
I think you'd have a lot of pissed Alabama fans to have Georgia leap Alabama when they beat them in the SEC championship game.
But the way they took care of business, I mean, you can't.
It's imperfect. I bring it up for this reason.
Yeah.
Georgia fans believe they're the best team in the country.
Correct.
And a lot of people think that is valid. I wonder if part of the reason that Michigan isn't the favorite or higher is this idea that you are now never going to keep out Alabama and Georgia, and eventually still one of those SEC teams will rise, even in a 12-team format.
Exactly. And I think that now it's going to be where, they got in a great situation this year. They ran the table, and prior to this year, there was no real competition outside of Penn State and Ohio State, correct? Yeah. We all agreed the Big Ten West was one-dimensional. No matter who came out of there, they were going to be a double-digit favorite, right? Now you add Washington, you add Oregon into the mix. There is now competitive USC, UCLA. Yeah. There are options that can knock you off throughout the regular season that you never had before, where the SEC deals with that you look they're used to it. SEC West, there's always 4 teams that could potentially come out of there. LSU, Texas A&M was always priced at the top of the market. Not saying they lived up to expectations, but the books always valued them at the top. So, we know LSU and Bama go toe-to-toe every year, and it hasn't been until Georgia's resurgence that the East has been as dominant as it's been, right? It used to be a coin flip. It used to be Florida. Then there was a period of time where it was Tennessee in the late 90s. And then it's every other year it's like flip a coin. Now Georgia's got that stranglehold on the East, but the gap is closing. We see Missouri coming up. There are problems. Yeah. How many teams in the top 25 do you think in terms of the SEC finished? Ole Miss, Georgia, Bama, LSU. Who else? Tennessee. There's 5 right there.
In the final top 25?
Yep.
Missouri?
46.
Missouri's going to be a top 10 team in the final 8.
Half of, at least half, if not more, maybe 8 or 9, I know there's teams we're forgetting,
right,
are in the top 25, right? Mm-hmm. We can't say that prior to this year in terms of the Big Ten. And that is why I think you don't have them at the top.
So here will be the fascinating conversation that I think we will have to follow when it's an uncharted world, really, in terms of how we evaluate teams in these super mega conferences with the Power 2, the expanded Big 12, what the ACC looks like, and, of course, what is left of the Pac-2. We'll talk about the 12-team college football playoff format in just a little bit. But in the final CFP rankings that we had on Selection Sunday, the top 12 outside of number 5, Florida State, 11 of those 12 teams would then play in the Big 10 or the SEC next year. Of course, if they're all in the same conference, more than likely they are not all going to be ranked that high, as there will be some attrition naturally against one another. But I can't wait to see the conference title odds entering 2024 as well. Where does Washington stack up in a new Big Ten? Does Oregon have the second best price behind Ohio State? Are they in front of Michigan with some uncertainties for the Wolverines entering next year? Based on how power ratings felt, Oregon was lockstep with Michigan for most of those national championship odds down the home stretch of this college football regular season. What does the SEC look like with Texas and Oklahoma? How do we figure out the conference setting where more than likely we would assume, based on this new 12-team format, we're expecting 2 to 3 teams bare minimum out of both the Big Ten and the SEC in this new 12-team college football playoff?
And we talked about it on college football today from the gambling perspective, right? Each and every year, you look at the odds preseason, right? What do you have? Maybe 8 to 10 with legitimate odds to win the national championship. You're going to get about, honestly, 35 to 40 now because of the 12-team playoff.
You have, at this exact moment, Joe, 9 teams at 18 to 1 or less.
Right. So, I mean, and think about this. We could go just from quarterbacks. We know it's a quarterback-centric driven conference and just the landscape, right? Dylan Gabriel. You look at all the quarterbacks, Jalen Milroe coming back, right?
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy coming back. I mean, Raiola going to Nebraska now. I mean, the landscape, Nico at Tennessee. I mean, the landscape for teams that are on that cusp of, let's say, 25 to 30. Now, there's going to be odds. The books aren't going to put out, I'm telling you this right now, I don't believe 200 to 1 shots across, because it's not like TCU coming out of nowhere anymore. You're an 11-1 Big 12 team.
For sure.
You will legitimately have a shot to win your conference and get to the playoff, and then the books are exposed. So now it's watered down.
That's an exceptional point, because we have spent the last 2 years here on this show on College Football Today in our preseason previews early in the regular season as you chart the path, the college football playoff path, to a Power 5 conference as being a one-loss Power 5 conference champion, and what that generally means for your outlook of making the college football playoff. Now we have to chart new paths based on your schedule, based on your resume. If you have 2 losses, but they're the right 2 losses, are we going to see you in the college football playoff? If you finish 4th in the SEC, do you have a chance at an at-large bid? And quickly here, because there's been some conversation leading up to tonight's national championship game, we were under the assumption, of course, entering 2023's college football season, that we would have the 12-team college football playoff format, 6 automatic qualifiers, the 6 highest-ranked conference champions, the 5 Power 5, and, of course, the highest-ranked group of 5, and then 6 berths from an at-large perspective. Now, with the dissolution of the Pac-12 and the CFP members all voting, you need at least 8 conference members to be considered a conference as it pertains to the CFP. They are trending toward a 5+7, which means the 5 highest-ranked conference champions. You would assume Power 4 now, if you want to categorize it as such, the highest-ranked group of 5, if this new landscape even holds, and then 7 at-large berths. So that even changes how we've used the mentality in forecasting the 12-team college football playoff format, because we've used the 6+6 for the last 2-3 years since that has been the speculation.
Yeah, it changes things. I think it most heavily impacts the Big Ten because of how many of the big boys they're getting from. I mean, they're getting all the big boys, it feels like, from the Pac-12, with Lincoln Riley coming and Malachi Nelson going to Boise State. I mean, someone getting the kid's ear, man.
Crazy, man.
I'm just.
Did you see the quarterback from Albany, Poffenberger?
Yeah.
He went to the U.
Yeah.
There was some conversation that Talia Tagovailoa, who's in the transfer portal, by the way, the Big Ten's all-time leading passer, if he can get a granted 6th year of eligibility by the NCAA, when you do apply for a waiver for that, he might head to Miami. But
all-time leading passer?
Yeah.
Take that record down. Too many games. Start doing it by yards per game with a minimum or something. That's terrible.
Frank Reich's got to be in there somewhere.
So 2 years ago, right, we brought CJ, Bryce, and Caleb back. And that was really important because Bama and Ohio State and USC were all near the top. Bama and Ohio State booked a tier above. The Trojans, Ohio State made it. Alabama obviously had a disappointing season, and USC would have made it had they not lost that Pac-12 championship game, but they were all in the mix. So this year we look at the top of the board. Bama brings back Milroe.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia brings back Beck. And Michigan could bring back JJ. And I think those programs and what they are, having stability at the quarterback position, I don't see any world where those three teams would not be in the playoff.
Right? No, I mean,
it would be stunning to me.
I think
in a 12-team field that those three teams can't make it. Ohio State adds Will Howard, and there's plenty of excitement about that because, well, for a moment, it looked real dire, right, for in Columbus. But we don't know what Will Howard's going to be necessarily out of Ohio State, and so on and so forth. Drew Aller still is going to have to take a step forward for people to feel full confidence in Penn State. But to me, if Michigan brings back J.J., those top two SEC contenders bringing back their guys, I mean, they're priced to make the CFP. You talk about Georgia, minus 110 to make it sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those teams should be minus 500, 600 to make the playoff.
Here's another factor, too, that I think we have to – players, right? Players want to go where they can win.
Yeah.
So we see all this transition right now from the quarterbacks, right? But now Georgia knows, all right, the 5 stars that maybe aren't playing, they're going to maybe stay. I'm just saying, think about it, because they know they're going to make – they're going to be in the playoff, right? So why leave a winning program? I mean, it's one thing to – I understand if you're Quinshon Judkins, right? Ole Miss, they're that
I don't
fringe.
understand that.
I don't understand it either. But I tell you what, I think Ole Miss with Jackson Dart and those playmakers coming back, Harris and Wade.
Ulysses Bentley also back for.
I mean, that is a loaded team offensively.
Yeah.
Defensively, but you know what? A 10-2 Ole Miss team gets into the playoff with Lane there. I'll tell you what.
When was the last time Ole Miss had a top 10 price to win a national championship?
When Eli was there, I would say. Right?
Sure.
I'm throwing it out there because.
But again, that's where the Judkins thing. Well, obviously, I adore the player. His props are a feature all the time on our show.
Yeah.
So the answer is probably just money. But that's also a kid that's in a real NFL draft prospect. And you're not going to go play in a loaded backfield with Trevion Henderson?
And Jackson, not only that, but we still have concerns about that. We don't know what Will Howard is. Jackson Dart, you know what he is. And who? Let me ask you this. Yeah. Who would you rather play for? And Lane Kiffin or Ryan Day now? I sort of lean, really? I would, if you're a quarterback, maybe. But Kiffin has done a really nice job there. I would lean to Kiffin, I think.
I could listen both directions.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, my God, I couldn't disagree with you more. No, but I would rather play for Ryan Day. I think the exposure to Ohio State,
that's the funny
prospects
thing.
for the Buckeyes. But Ryan Day is now very much – last year when you said, hey, guys got to go, 2 straight losses to Michigan.
He's got 3
I was like,
now.
let's calm down. He's 45-5 in his now 4 years as the head coach.
He's lucky FAU
Columbus.
struggled.
That pressure cooker has been turned up just a little bit because you are judged in comparison to that team up north.
It does not help that they just won the title.
Not at all. With all of it was around the atmosphere in Ann Arbor this year, let alone the success on the football field for Michigan, you are judged based on comparison to the Michigan Wolverines and vice versa for the Wolverines against Ohio State. That is the beauty and the pageantry of that college football rivalry, but that also increases the pressure under that hot seat to deliver and perform at the highest level.
I just can't. But again,
I feel like he's outside of Judkins. From the quarterback perspective, Day has gotten less talent lately. Outside of Stroud.
Listen, last year he had less talent, I would say. You would never have even said that sentence before watching McCord play. Will Howard is a nice upgrade for what was going to be. We'll give you our closing thoughts. Final college football today segment next.
New sports books operating for licenses, and a lot of news always coming out of there. One of the fresh sports betting states.
Well, they're a little behind the ball there, so I don't know if they'll be at the starting line in North Carolina. But yeah, a really interesting mix of applicants this early on so far.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices. And we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run.
That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't
favorite.
care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
My best bet is Michael Penix to over 309.5.
Touchdown from out. Let's get active and let's get the best of the numbers here, Joe.
I believe if Michigan in this ball game can run the football, work off of play action, they can move the football, put up points. Does fall on McCarthy, but I like Michigan's chances in this ball game.
National championship set. Washington against Michigan.
Brothers in arms today. This is it.
This is the most excited I think I've ever been for a day of work in my entire life.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
We spent all offseason where the NFL said, hey, just so you guys know, running backs don't matter. If we then this year give the MVP to a running back, the irony. I am disappointed that they lost to FAU because secretly I don't really like this FAU team very much. I don't know. They're just not for me. And now they've completely legitimized the Owls.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
In-game live, prime time. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Closing out our season on college football today. One last time, Kevin Walsh, Ben Stevens, and Joe Lisi. This is the best, and we love this. Michigan is the national champion, and we're going to have plenty of off-season conversations around this. I'm sure even throughout the week there will be breakdowns, and luckily the college football world actually provides us more off-season movement now, so the conversation is really never too far away, but I'll throw to you first, Joe, some quick closing thoughts.
Just a great game by Michigan, offensive, defensive line play, but this was great, just covering the game in-game with all three of us. I mean, this is what it's all about, man. I mean, I'm not tired. I mean, I can go another 6 hours.
I feel like we got cut short on some of the conversations.
This is the joy of my career. This is the joy of my time at SportsGrid to be involved in this show on college football today from its inception at the beginning of last college football season all the way here to year number 2, to be able to work with you guys, everybody behind the scenes, Pat Foster, Chris Kofsky, Joe Frieso, Jack Cromwell, as I know it's Crowell, my apologies on that one, Nick Colucci, AJ Freeze, everybody that's been involved with this product. It has been an absolute pleasure. And for me, the story of this college football season was the Michigan Wolverines, an uncertain atmosphere in Ann Arbor, scandals off the field, elite performance on the football field, and one of the best defenses we have seen in the last few years in college football, the first national championship for the Maize and Blue since 1997.
A shout-out to West Virginia alum Brian Rutkowski as well.
Yes,
an early adopter.
To end this season,
Garrett Green.
I guess it's fitting. I spent the whole year calling the Big Ten awful, and they won the championship. If I had to push it to next season.
For being such a Big Ten guy last year, too, the only guy to predict 2 Big Ten teams into the college football playoff.
What are the Minnesota odds for next year?
Can I just say this at the end? One of the reasons I really love the under is I said you have one last chance to get back to your roots as Big Ten Kevin playing under in a Big Ten game, and that's what we did. But also to reemphasize, Joe, Ben, love you both to bits, and hope we do it again. Closing it out here, college football today. We'll see you next season.